Most people think inner stillness means getting so calm that nothing can touch them. The opposite is closer to true. By the end of this video, you'll have a completely different relationship with your own mental noise. Not because you learned to silence it, but because you stop treating it as proof that something is wrong with you. Point 1. Stillness begins before the mind gets quiet. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They sit down to meditate, close their eyes, and immediately start grading the session. Is my mind quiet? Am I doing this right? Why am I thinking about a tax form right now? Why am I thinking about the exact smell of my school hallway? The mind starts generating thoughts, and the person assumes the practice has failed. It hasn't failed. That is the practice. In yoga philosophy, the mind is described as restless, shifting, rippling. You don't need an ancient text to confirm this. Sit down for 3 minutes and your brain will remember an old argument, an unanswered email, and whether you replied too warmly to that message last Tuesday. When I first started meditating, I thought stillness was something I would earn by becoming less messy inside. I wanted a clean inner room, white walls, one candle, no embarrassing thoughts knocking things over. Meditation corrected me, or actually, my own impatience did. I could sit perfectly still and be full of irritation. I could breathe beautifully and still be unkind in the kitchen 10 minutes later. The body can imitate peace while the nervous system is still guarding the door. Inner stillness asks for something less glamorous and more exact. It asks you to notice what is here without immediately trying to improve it. That is harder than it sounds. A beginner sits down and thinks, I'm anxious. Then the second arrow arrives. I shouldn't be anxious. I've done the breath work. I read the books. I know better. The second arrow hurts more than the first. The original feeling is tightness in the chest. The added judgment turns the whole body into a courtroom. Here's a 2-minute practice you can do before opening an email from your insurance company, or in a bathroom stall at work, which is not poetic, but often where real practice happens. Place one hand on your lower ribs. Feel them widen as you inhale, settle as you exhale. Name 3 contact points: feet on the floor, thighs on the chair, palm against fabric. Then lengthen only the exhale. Don't force a deep inhale. Let the out breath go a little longer than usual, and say silently, this is what's here. Use that phrase for sensations, thoughts, sounds, whatever is present. Stop before you get impressive. 2 honest minutes beat 20 minutes of inner combat. Point 2, the body knows before the mind admits it. Many people try to calm themselves by arguing with their thoughts. The thought says, something bad is coming. The inner manager replies, no, it isn't. Be rational. Then the thought objects, gathers evidence, calls witnesses, and suddenly meditation has become a debate club with incense. The body offers a quieter route. Notice your tongue right now. Is it pressed to the roof of your mouth? Notice your hands. Are the fingers curled inward, as if gripping an invisible rope? Notice your belly. Is it soft enough to move when you breathe? Or is it waiting for permission from someone who isn't even in the room? Sensation has edges. A thought can sprawl across the entire sky. A sensation is usually more local. Tightness behind the eyes, buzzing in the forearms, a shallow breath that stops just below the collarbones. Once the body becomes specific, fear has less room to pretend it's everywhere. One afternoon, I was sorting a drawer of mismatched keys while a kettle hissed on the stove. No crisis, nothing dramatic, but my shoulders were lifted so high they nearly belonged to someone else. I stopped. A key pressed into my palm and realized my body had been preparing for a threat my day did not contain. The practice wasn't to become serene. The practice was to lower my shoulders 1 inch and feel how strange safety can be when the body has been rehearsing urgency. Here's a 3-breath practice for the middle of a busy room. No closed eyes required. First breath. Feel the soles of your feet, especially the outer edges. Second breath. Let the shoulders drop only as much as they're willing to drop. No forcing. Third breath. Relax the space behind the eyes even slightly, then continue with the task. Inner stillness does not need to look visible from the outside. Sometimes no one else knows you practiced. That privacy can be a relief. Point 3. Stillness can become another form of control, and that's where it goes wrong. Picture this. A woman sits down to meditate after a hard conversation with her partner, closes her eyes and spends 15 minutes telling herself she is above anger, while her nails press half moons into her palms. Spiritual language can become a lid. I'm choosing peace can sometimes mean I'm not willing to feel grief. I'm staying centered can mean I don't want to admit I'm furious. I'm practicing non-attachment can mean I'm pretending I don't care because caring feels dangerous. Forced stillness has a smell to it. The breath gets controlled. The face becomes smooth in a way that doesn't include the eyes. The voice says all the right things, but the body is leaning away from itself. Inner stillness is not the same as emotional suppression. Suppression says, don't feel that. Stillness says, feel that, without letting it drive the car into a ditch. There are moments when the more truthful practice is trembling and telling someone, that didn't feel okay. There are moments when inner stillness doesn't look still at all. It looks like leaving a room before you say the cruel thing. It looks like putting both hands on a cold sink and feeling the porcelain under your palms while your breath comes back in pieces. If a practice makes you more anxious, don't assume you're broken. Stillness can expose the static you've been outrunning. When the phone goes down, when the room gets quiet, old sensations may rise. Grief, anger, a nameless dread that lives behind the sternum. Some people need eyes-open meditation. Some need walking. Some need a therapist or trauma-sensitive guidance, rather than silent sitting. The mature path is not always go deeper. Sometimes it's go slower, and don't do this alone. Point 4, stillness inside a workplace that rewards urgency. Many modern workplaces quietly reward a nervous system that never fully exhales. Quick replies look responsible. Full calendars look important. A person who pauses before answering may be mistaken for someone who lacks confidence, when in fact that pause might be the most conscious moment in the room. I'll be honest. Some jobs punish slowness. Some environments are genuinely unsafe or unfair. Breathwork will not fix a cruel manager, chronic underpaying, or a workload designed for 3 people handed to 1. Inner stillness is not a substitute for structural change. And still, within the day you actually have, there may be tiny places where the body can stop sprinting. Before opening your laptop, feel the chair under you. Before replying to a tense message, let your exhale finish completely. Before walking into a meeting, notice whether your feet are landing on the floor or barely touching it, as if you're already late to a future that hasn't arrived. The present moment practice I use most at work is almost embarrassingly plain. 1 hand on the desk, 1 breath through the nose, 1 sentence written more slowly than I want to write it. The hand matters. The desk gives the nervous system a fact. Here, would, wait, contact. Inner stillness in a workplace is less about being peaceful and more about interrupting the trance of urgency. The trance says every message is a bell you must answer. The body says, my throat is dry. The breath says, you are alive before you are useful. Point 5. What if the mind never gets quiet? A mind that never gets completely quiet can still become a mind you know how to sit beside. Some minds are loud because the day is overstimulating. Some are loud because the body is underslept or carrying pain. Some are loud because old fear learned to survive by scanning everything. Treating all racing thoughts as a simple focus problem can become another way of not listening. If stillness practices make you more anxious, change the conditions. Open your eyes. Practice for 90 seconds instead of 20 minutes. Choose walking over seated stillness. Name 5 blue objects in the room before returning to the breath. There is no holiness in overwhelming yourself. If the breath feels unsafe, use sound. If silence feels too sharp, use movement. If closing your eyes brings a flood, keep them open and rest your gaze on something ordinary. A mug, a door frame, the folded edge of a blanket. Here's a beginner practice for a racing mind. 3 minutes. Eyes open, soft gaze. First minute. Name what the mind is doing, planning, remembering, worrying, rehearsing, judging. 1-word labels, no essays. If the mind says this is silly, label that judging and continue. Second minute. Feel the breath in one physical place, nostrils, ribs, or belly. If attention leaves, return without scolding. The returning is not the failure of the practice. The returning is the practice. Wearing work clothes. Third minute, include the room. Sounds, light, temperature, contact. A dog barking, a refrigerator humming, a car door closing outside. Let it all belong. When the timer ends, don't leap up. Look at one object near you and name it silently. Spoon, notebook, plant. Let the nervous system cross the bridge back into activity. Practice daily, this small ritual becomes less about achieving quiet and more about building trust. The mind learns it can be heard without being obeyed. The body learns not every sensation requires alarm. Here's what I want to leave you with. Inner stillness stays human when it includes irritation, grief, fatigue, and the unfinished nature of ordinary life. I don't want a practice that turns the heart into a polished stone. The stillness worth trusting makes you more available to the moment you're actually in. The child asking the same question again, the partner standing too quietly by the sink, the body asking for rest before the mind has approved the schedule. In practical terms, this looks smaller than we expect. You notice you're rushing and put the glass down before it slips. You feel anger and wait until your voice returns to its own shape. You say, I need 10 minutes, instead of pretending you're fine and becoming sharp with everyone near you. If you want to practice today, choose one ordinary threshold. Before entering your home, before opening your messages, before eating, before speaking after someone says something difficult. Pause at that threshold and feel one breath from beginning to end. Don't try to become a different person in that breath. Let the breath show you the person who is already here. Tight shoulders, sincere longing, half-finished courage and all. If this is the kind of thinking that helps you move through your days better, subscribe. That's where this work lives. And tonight, before you open the next thing demanding your attention, put one hand somewhere on your body, feel the weight of it, and let the exhale go all the way out. That's enough. That's a start.